This looks like an ideal place to take a nap. Only one way to know for sure. And there's a nice breeze today, too.
Claude?
Huh?
Why are you taking a sleep on the ground, Claude?
Is that Petra? Where are you? Were you up in that tree the whole time? I couldn't feel your presence at all. Amazing.
It is safe to take sleep in the tree's top. Why would you choose the dangerous ground instead?
Your logic is sound, I'll give you that. But how is one supposed to get up there without losing the sleepies from the effort?
I do not know what is meant by the sleepies, but getting in the tree's top is easy. And you will be using all of your energy, so that good sleep will find you up in the tree.
I see. That makes a certain kind of sense, but it's not as relaxing as a good ground sleep.
Give it some trying. And do not think with too much hardness when you return to the ground. Feel it. If you stop for thinking, your arms will get heavy.
That is way more thought than I'd hoped to give this nap of mine. But I'm not one to give up before even trying. Here goes nothing. I can do this!
I have not known a noble here who can climb trees. Is this a weakness of Fodlan nobles?
No, not a weakness. How do I... Ah!
You should be quitting. It is a danger to be falling from such a height.
I think that's enough for today. This might sound like an excuse, but we don't have a lot of tall trees where I grew up. This is all new to me.
You should take your sleep on the ground. I will take mine in the tree.
You won that round, tree. Hi, Annette. Looks like some tasty food you've got there. Mind if I join you?
Sure, but I'm finished eating. You're here late. Busy day?
Very. I got caught up thinking about your song. I find it really makes the time fly.
So you didn't manage to forget about that. I really wish you would.
Alas, I cannot. That song is engraved on my soul. The lyrics, they echo in my brain, begging to be understood. Those words represent the cry of a poor soul who died in anguish. Is that it? That's it, isn't it?
The cry of a poor soul?
A land that's dark and frigidly cold. That could only mean the underworld. In my search for truth, I read up on the old rituals of the eastern regions of Faerghus. Those who die with regret are thought to end up in an underworld of sorts. Somewhere cold, somewhere dark, somewhere creepy. To escape from their bitter limbo, they dig their way up through the earth, trying to find the surface, or the light, in other words. And so they creep about endlessly in the cold dirt of the underworld, clinging to their hopeless desire. Creepity creep, Annette. Creepity creep. So, was I right, or was I right?
What? No, you're not even close. It wasn't supposed to be a dark and miserable song at all.
Huh. Now that I think about it, the melody and dance didn't really match the weight of the lyrics.
The lyrics are simply about seeds pushing out of the ground to become sweet little buds. They creep through the dirt until they find the light. The song just describes what it's like to be a budding flower.
Damn, that is good stuff. Okay, maybe I read too much into it. Actually, now that you've explained, it really is a nice little song. Creepity creep, the gentle journey from the ground to the surface. I love it.
Do you think it's embarrassing that I made up such a silly song?
Not at all. Oh, but that reminds me. I was so inspired by Creepity Creep that I made up some lyrics of my own. I've been nonchalantly carrying them around with me, hoping to run into you. Would you mind taking a look?
Oh, of course. Let's see here. Walking with purpose and a steady stride, lively and bright and full of pride. Crying, laughing, and blazing ahead. Why worry about tomorrow? Let's eat instead. So, what would you say this song is about, Claude?
Oh, Annette. Sweet Annette. This time it's your turn to decipher its meaning. Let me know when you've figured it out. Ingrid, hello.
Yes, Claude?
Listen, I know you and I don't always get along. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry if my way of being is upsetting to you.
If anyone should be making apologies, it's probably me. I've been overly harsh toward you on more than one occasion. As you might have noticed, I'm close friends with a certain someone who has caused me no end of trouble since we were very young. You remind me a bit of him, and I think I've projected my annoyances at him onto you, at times.
You're talking about Sylvain, right? Huh. Are he and I really that similar?
Not in every regard, no. You certainly seem to treat those of the opposite gender with quite a bit more respect, for one thing.
Well now, I'll take that as a compliment.
You also speak to me in a much more amicable manner than my dear friend ever does.
Okay, I have to ask you something, but only if you promise not to show me your angry lines again. Doesn't that straight-laced personality of yours make life harder than it needs to be? I feel like there are plenty of people who'd like to get to know you better, but who are scared off by your, well, intense attitude.
Oh, really?
Really. I'd say that especially applies to most of the folks you go around giving lectures to. We're all friends here, Ingrid. We all trust each other with our very lives on the battlefield. Shouldn't we try to accept each other?
You have a point.
I sure do. Besides, with a cute face like yours, I bet you could win anyone over if you just threw out a smile now and then.
I've got better things to concern myself with. In any case, you speak as though you know so much about wooing the masses. But I would wager that many of our classmates find it difficult to trust one as slovenly as yourself.
Oh, another lecture. I see you took my words to heart. Look, let's just call a truce, shall we? How about we agree that we could both learn something from our chat today? If you'll make an effort to smile more, I'll try my best to set a better example for everyone.
That seems like an unreasonable thing to ask of you. I wonder if you're capable of such a thing.
And it's perhaps equally wild to ask an ice block like you to melt. But let's give it a try. What do you say?
I suppose it's only virtuous to ask as much of myself as I'm asking of you. Very well. I accept your challenge.
Hey there, Cyril. You're working hard as usual.
Nah, just doing my job.
Rhea herself gives you your daily tasks, doesn't she? The church employs a lot of people, but not too many of them can claim they get to speak with the Archbishop every day. You should be proud of yourself. She clearly values your work ethic.
Hey, is that everything you wanted to say? 'Cause I'm kinda busy here.
Actually, I was hoping to ask you about Rhea. There's so much we don't know about her, but I thought maybe you...
Yeah, I know more about Lady Rhea than anybody. But why should I tell you anything about her?
So cold. Think about who you're talking to.
Huh? What are you to me?
You don't know who I am?
Of course I do. You're Claude, house leader of the Golden Deer.
That's not what I mean. Well, never mind then. Tell me, don't you ever miss your homeland?
Almyra?
Yes, Almyra. Judging by that expression, I'm guessing you're not terribly homesick.
Life was a whole lot harder for me there than it's ever been around here. My dad and mom both died in the war, and there was nobody there to look after me. The king, he didn't do anything to help, so I had to survive by being smart. I had to stop being a kid real quick.
I'm sorry to hear that.
You don't have to apologize. It's not your fault.
Regardless of whose fault it is, I'm still sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't even know that an acquaintance of mine was suffering. And sorry for asking a tactless question about your homeland. I should have known that it was likely to bring back bad memories.
Nah, I get sad or mad when I think about it, but I'm used to it, so I don't mind any.
I see that. Even still, I apologize for being careless.
Okay, well, thanks, Claude. If the king of Almyra was like you, maybe things would have been better. Maybe the king's not a bad person and just had other stuff to worry about. But that's not much of an excuse.
If I ever meet the King of Elmyra, I'll give him a stern talking to on your behalf.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I gotta get back to work. Bunch of things to get done.
You really are on the other side now, aren't you? Huh. Well, if nothing else, it's good of you to turn a blind eye to me.
I don't know what that means, but okay. Bye, Claude.
Picking wildflowers? Seems such a common activity for someone like you.
To me, the most beautiful flower is the one that blossoms by its own strength. Lysithea, please accept this as...
Knock it off! Sorry. It's just that the thorns are a bit sharp, and I'm not a fan of killing nature.
True sympathy, even for the smallest wildflower. I admire your kindness. When you inherit your house, that kindness will be a balm to your subjects. They and the neighboring lords will trust you instinctively.
Politics. Again.
The Alliance has been harmed in the past by lords who thought only of themselves, who saw others as a means to an end. But you understand others' pain. With you around, I am quite hopeful that the Alliance will flourish again.
That's not something you should get your hopes up about. House Ordelia will end with my father.
I'm sorry? I understand you have a distaste for politics, but could you really allow a noble house 3 centuries old to fall to ruin? This goes beyond you and even your house. What would become of Fodlan if all its noble houses withered away in such a manner? The people would be in disarray. The balance of power would crumble. Chaos would rule.
No, it's just... my body, unfortunately, is not built to last, and I have no siblings. When I die, that's the end.
What?
Noble birth has been nothing but a source of pain for me. For me, and for my parents. We got sucked into the rebellion in the Empire, and it led to many responsibilities for us. The things we went through. I can hardly bear to speak of it. All I want now is to give my mother and father the chance to live out their years in peace. I intend to do whatever I can to ease the hardships of our people, while I still have life left in me. Naturally, I worry about what will come to pass after I'm gone. But I'm sure things will work out, so long as there are people like you around working so hard for a better future.
So you have been thinking of the future, even despite all of that. I am so sorry. I had no idea. Lysithea, I have offended you most persistently. Please find it in your heart to forgive my impudence.
Don't worry about it. If you're so insistent upon being my friend, I'm sure more tasty snacks and tea will help persuade me. But if speaking of the future holds such importance, better to find someone who actually has one.
I understand. Yes, let's take tea together again soon. What is it, Marianne?
I'm curious why you've been eating your meals near me as of late. I'm not much for conversation. I'm always at a loss for words, and I never know how to respond to questions.
Well, it's true that there are some who prefer a lively dinner table, but I prefer to eat in peace. With you, my meals are a relaxing experience. In fact, you are the most peaceful dining companion I've ever had.
Really?
There is a real grace and fluidity to your every movement. I greatly appreciate refined table manners. Observing you all this time, I believe I've realized what is so striking about you. Your beauty comes from the heart. It is an inner beauty. It is not some flamboyant pageantry, a product of external adornment or grooming. When I first noticed it, I thought that it could use some refinement, a little polish. But I was mistaken. You are perfect in your natural state, just as you are.
You think I'm beautiful? Just the way I am?
Certainly. To add a superficial luster on top of what you already possess would be offensively redundant.
No one's ever said anything like that to me before.
Alas, I am the only one with eyes. But perhaps it is for the best that your beauty not be revealed to all the world. Yes, it is certainly better that only I, Lawrence Hellman Gloucester, can appreciate your true magnificence. And on that note, I bid you farewell.
What a strange person. But being called beautiful just the way I am, that was nice to hear.
Ah, there's yet another option.
Lawrence, what are you doing?
Oh, hello, Hilda. I'm using these pieces to represent soldiers on the battlefield. This will allow me to better visualize concepts of strategy.
Very good. Is it fun?
Oh, it is utterly engrossing. Look, swap out just certain pieces for others, and the board completely changes. Then, even considering the same types of units, employing different individuals calls for a new set of plans.
Oh, I see. Or I kind of see. It's hard for me to grasp really complex things like this.
Nonsense. It's thanks to your many requests that I've been adapting my fighting style of late. Working to accommodate you has convincingly shown me how essential it is to rethink tactics on a continual basis. After all, the risk of getting hurt is greatly reduced if you are prepared for any situation. So now I will be ready for anything.
Lawrence, you're so wonderful, I'm at a loss for words. I'm not just saying that to flatter you either, honestly.
Tell me something, Hilda. Did you make all of these ludicrous requests of me purely so that I might have the opportunity to develop myself? Because if so, I am deeply moved. Thank you for caring so thoughtfully and passionately for my personal growth.
You're welcome.
If you will permit me to return the favor, I do have one request to make of you. Will you hear me out?
I'm not usually one for fielding requests, but I can make an exception in your case, I suppose.
I would be so pleased to have the opportunity to observe you in action, in the heat of battle. Would you be so kind as to oblige me?
Oh, very well. You've convinced me. But if it gets too intense, you'll help me out, right?
Ah, that fragrance! Could it be? Ferdinand, I cannot help but notice the exquisite tea you're drinking.
Not many can appreciate it, let alone recognize it. I'm impressed.
Perhaps you would be so good as to indulge me with a cup?
By all means, allow me to pour.
Ah, what a delightful aroma. When I close my eyes, I feel as though I've wandered into a rose garden.
Such a precise, poetic description. But please, drink up. No need to stand on ceremony.
How gracious of you. Very well. Flavor, fragrance, and hue, all in fine harmony. This is a most superior brew. And in a market saturated by pale imitation, no less. You did well to acquire such fine fare.
You are clearly quite passionate about tea. And more than just passionate. You know what it takes to brew a fine cup. To say nothing of your flawless etiquette and sterling attentiveness.
Certainly, proper etiquette at tea time is one of the surest hallmarks of quality breeding. And the extent of one's attentiveness is quite often indicative of the depth of one's character. The ability of a person of fine stock to exhibit a rich quality of character is precisely what determines whether one is worthy to be called noble. And all of that can be seen in how one handles such a simple thing as a cup of tea.
Ah, marvelously put, Lawrence. I can tell you have given much thought to this subject. And if I may, I have always considered you to be the very model of noble comportment.
Oh, likewise, this has certainly been an extraordinarily meaningful cup of tea.
I wholeheartedly concur. Before we part ways, I would like to offer you some of these leaves.
Truly? Well, I'm flattered, but I cannot simply accept them without offering something in exchange. You simply must allow me to host you in turn, by way of recompense. We shall drink from House Gloucester's finest teacups and enjoy the loveliest of its cakes.
That sounds exquisite. I look forward to it.
Ah, Dorothea, your beauty puts even the most pristine flower to shame.
Ah, Lawrence, as silver-tongued as ever.
Oh, not at all. I must bid you good day.
I see the rumors are true. What a shame.
Rumors? About me? Whatever do you mean?
Why, that you're always ready to flirt. Unless she's a commoner. Then you'll bid her good day as quickly as possible. Like you did with me just now. Are we so unpleasant to speak to, us commoners?
That is a rather pointed question, but I do happen to have an answer for you. As the heir to House Gloucester, I am in search of a bride of suitable social status. The alliance isn't fully unified. I require someone who will help bring it together.
I'd think you could find plenty of suitable women, even among the masses.
Do not be so certain. A lady who marries me must be prepared to enter noble society, whether she wishes to or not. It is a complex web of etiquette and expectation, not a world one could easily step into without the proper upbringing. What's more, House Gloucester would hardly see much benefit were I to join myself to the household of a commoner.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I suppose that means any friendship between you and I is doomed as well.
Isn't that a rather excessive conclusion?
You want someone to birth your house's next generation. I want someone to share my life with. I'm not even an option in your eyes, and you're hardly viable in mine. However, we're all friends here, aren't we? So I suppose politeness at the very least is in order.
Mercedes, I have to insist that you take up a position behind me on the battlefield. I must protect the common folk, and you have been in danger rather frequently of late.
I appreciate your concern, but I can take care of myself. Everything is about nobility and common folk with you, Lawrence. It's tiresome.
Tiresome? I am only fulfilling my duty.
Is that to say you would have left me lying on the floor in pain, had it not been your duty to assist?
You mean when you were hurt on my account? I still would have assisted you, as any commoner would have. It is simply a matter of perspective. And if I were common-born, I would not have simply let you leave without... Never mind. Forgive me.
Excuse me? Are you implying that you would have taken advantage of me if you were lowborn?
What? No! And I am no longer interested in the hypothetical nature of this conversation.
Oh, Lawrence, you'll never change.
What do you mean?
I find myself growing irritated just looking at you.
Is that so? I fail to see exactly how I am so irritating.
You claim that you don't want to be involved with common women, don't you? But I know deep in your heart you love being around us. You're willfully ignorant to that. I hope you know what you're depriving yourself of.
I am certain I've told you before that my marriage must be beneficial to House Gloucester. I've not the time for fruitless courtship.
Fruitless? How can you say such things? What would happen if you fell in love with a commoner?
Nothing at all. I accept the role that I must play, and any sacrifice that must accompany it.
So, your duty as a noble is more important than your own feelings?
Naturally.
If that's true, then your whole existence is rather sad.
I am afraid you misunderstand. This is my choice. There is no cause for pity.
I think I've heard enough. I have to go.
Your swordplay is captivating, exceedingly graceful, yet mindful to guard the weaknesses that often accompany such elegant flourishes.
Lawrence, are you spying on me? That's not very noble.
It was rude of me to watch so long in silence, I do confess. Yet I could not bring myself to interrupt. I believe that such a deep grasp of swordplay can only mean that you have experienced the privilege of a noble birth.
You just don't let up. I didn't inherit my sword skills, Lawrence. I trained. I earned them.
One's lineage does not affect one's talent or tenacity, to be sure. But a noble is raised in an environment more conducive to the honing of martial skill. Those brought up in the lap of luxury are blessed with a far wider variety of options for their futures. And a noble raised in that fashion is better equipped to keep the peace for the common folk.
Sure. And besides keeping the peace, what are the nobility's other duties?
Matters of state for a start. A noble has the ability to declare war, for instance. A commoner does not. And a noble who carries the blessing of a crest has even more power. One move from such an individual can exert massive influence. Of course, such influence must only be wielded with discretion. It is a noble's duty to use power wisely.
Whether or not it's their duty, if they don't use their power wisely, the people will revolt.
Indeed, the motivation to revolt can only come from discontent with the nobility. But if the people are well protected and enjoy peaceful and happy lives, there is no such motive. Thus, if such a revolt does occur, the nobility must be held accountable.
The nobility must be held accountable, I never thought I'd find myself agreeing with you. Maybe you're not as bad as I thought. In fact, I'll let you in on a secret. I am from a noble family, House Karen of Fargus. I used to be known as Cassandra Rubens Karen. Perhaps you've heard that name before?
House Karen? It cannot be. Are you the one who was driven from Fargus for some grave crime?
So people say. However, I didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, how do you rate me now? On one hand, I am a noble, but I'm also a fugitive.
I see. Well then. Will you do me the honor of a bout?
So you'd like to suss me out with your sword? Sure, I'll take you on.
Hey, Raphael. You here to train?
Hey, Caspar! You work your muscles almost as much as I do.
Of course. Everyone knows that if you skip a day, you lose 3 days of work.
Ain't that the truth? Let's get to it then.
That's probably enough for today.
You might be right. I'm exhausted.
You know, I really envy you, Raphael. You're huge.
I know I'm big. Everyone knows that. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm not very big, but I've always wanted to be. That's why I train so much. I just don't know how to bulk up.
Is that all? I know how to fix that.
Really? You gotta show me.
Follow me.
Huh? You just led me to the dining hall.
That's right. Now sit down and eat up.
We're just gonna eat?
Yep. Eating's the best way to get bigger. You gotta eat, and you gotta train. Do 'em both enough, and you're sure to grow.
Well, I always thought I was a pretty big eater, but maybe I wasn't eating enough? Or not often enough?
Probably both. Look at my plate compared to yours. Now this is a meal.
Whoa, your plate looks like a mountain. If that's what I gotta do, then I'm gonna eat until I can't anymore. I'll eat until there's no food left.
That's the spirit. Come on, let's go clear out the pantry.
Let's do it. I'm gonna eat till I can't move.